All right, let's dive right into Leviticus chapter 2. Now, I know what you might be thinking ancient rituals, right? But stick with me because this one is different. It's all about a powerful act of pure gratitude. This is a gift you give not because you want something, but simply to say thank you. So, let me ask you something right off the bat. What does a gift of pure thanks look like? I mean, if you wanted to give something with absolutely no strings attached, just pure, heartfelt gratitude, what would that be? Just let that idea sit for a second, because you've just captured the entire spirit of what we're about to explore, the green offering.
Okay, so let's start this journey. First up, verses 1 through 3, which really set the stage for this whole idea of a gift of gratitude.
Okay, verse 1. So picture this. Someone comes forward and they're not just bringing any old flour. This is the good stuff, the finest flour, you know? It represents their very best effort. Then they pour this beautiful stream of golden oil over it. You can almost see it soaking in. And to top it all off, they place these little beads of frankincense on it. That's the stuff that makes the amazing fragrance when it burns. So simple, right? But every single piece here is packed with meaning. And that leads us right to verse 2. The gift is handed over to the priest, and watch what he does. He doesn't take the whole thing. He just takes a scoop, a symbolic handful called a memorial portion, and he places it on the hot altar. And whoosh, that frankincense just ignites, sending up this incredible, fragrant smoke. That's the sweet aroma. It's like a visual sign that God has received the gift. So what about the rest of it? That's verse 3. And this is where it gets really interesting. That one handful goes up to God, but the rest? It doesn't get thrown away. It actually becomes the food for the priests and their families. So this one act of worship is also an act of community, of taking care of the people who serve God full time. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so far so good. But what if you wanted to bring something, well, a little more prepared than just flour and oil? That's what the next section is all about. Verses 4 through 10 give us 3 different ways you could prepare this offering. This made it possible for everyone to participate, no matter what kind of kitchen they had. First up, verse 4, option 1, the oven. Just imagine mixing that fine flour and oil into these little flat cakes. Now they have to be unleavened. That means no yeast, no puffing up. It's a symbol of being pure and sincere. Then you place them into one of those hot clay beehive-looking ovens. It's like baking a special meal just for God. But what if you don't have a big oven? Well, check out verse 5. No oven, no problem. You can just use a flat pan, kind of like a griddle. You can just picture it, right? A simple, unleavened flatbread cooking on a hot surface. A really humble, direct way to give your gift. Now, verse 6 adds this really cool, tactile step. I love this part. You take that warm bread you just cooked and you break it. You could almost hear the snap. And then you drizzle more oil over it so it sinks into all those little cracks and crevices. It's such an intentional, hands-on moment. And finally, there's a third way. Verse 7 tells us you could use a covered pan. So this is more like a deep pan with a lid, maybe something you'd stew in. Just picture lifting that lid and a little puff of steam comes out, revealing the offering cooked inside. 3 simple ways to prepare the same heartfelt gift. So no matter how it was cooked, in the oven, on the pan, or in the pot, verse 8 brings it all together. This is that moment of handover. The person who prepared it brings it to the priest, ready for the final step. And in verse 9, we see that familiar pattern again. Yep, just like before, the priest takes that symbolic piece, places it on the fire, and up goes that sweet aroma. It's this consistent signal that the gift has been received. And what about the rest of the cooked bread? Verse 10 tells us the exact same principle. The rest is considered most holy, and it's set aside for the priests. The process is the same whether the gift is raw or cooked. Okay, so we've got the what and the how. Now we get into the really specific rules about the ingredients in verses 11 to 13. And you're going to see that what you don't put in is just as important as what you do. Verse 11 gives us 2 big no-nos. No leaven, that's yeast, and no honey. Why? Well, leaven puffs things up, and it was often seen as a symbol of pride or sin spreading. And honey, while it's sweet, can ferment and turn sour. The idea here was total purity. This offering had to be completely simple and uncorrupted. Now, verse 12 throws in a little clarification, which is super helpful. So there was another kind of offering, the first fruits. You could bring those things, even if they had honey or leaven, as a gift to the tabernacle. But, and this is the key, you could never burn them on the main altar. That was reserved for the pure stuff. So if you can't use leaven or honey, what must you use? Verse 13 is emphatic about this. Salt is a must-have every single time. Why salt? Well, think about it. Salt preserves things. It keeps them from going bad. It was a powerful symbol of permanence, of something that lasts. It's even called the salt of the covenant, a physical reminder of God's unbreakable, forever promises. And that brings us to our final section, verses 14 through 16. This one describes what might be the most special grain offering of all. This isn't just any grain. This is the very first and the very best from the beginning of the harvest. So check this out, verse 14. This is so vivid. Picture a farmer walking into his field right as the harvest is starting. He grabs the first green heads of grain, the freshest ones, and he roasts them right there over a fire. You can almost smell it, hear the kernels popping. Then he rubs them in his hands to get the roasted grain out. It's so immediate, so fresh. And then verse 15 brings us full circle. See, even with this special roasted first grain offering, the final steps are the same. You pour on that golden oil, you add the fragrant frankincense, and the gift is complete. And the whole process comes to a beautiful conclusion in verse 16. So the priest takes a bit of that freshly roasted grain, the oil, and all the frankincense this time, and puts it on the altar. And for the last time in this chapter, we get that beautiful image of the sweet aroma rising up, a perfect picture of gratitude being received. So when you step back and look at the whole chapter, what's the big idea here? It's actually pretty profound. This offering shows us that you can take the most ordinary, everyday stuff, flour, oil, salt, the basic ingredients for a meal, and you can turn it into something sacred. It's all about your intention, your reverence, and the simple act of giving God your best. And that really leaves us with one final question, a question for you. If the grain offering was about taking something from your daily life and giving it back to God in pure thanks, what would that be for you today? In your life, right now, what's your grain offering?